I'm really short, so this is slightly too high, but it's okay. It's okay. No, it's fine. I think they can hear. You can all hear me, right? Okay. No, it's all good. Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much, JSConf Columbia, for having me. This is my first time visiting Columbia, my first time obviously visiting Medellin, so thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you, and I'm so excited to open the conference today. So this talk is about my journey from when I started live coding last year in July, and it's been a very surprising journey for me, and I did write a blog post about it a while ago, but I wanted to talk more personally about how it affected me and how it affected my sense of community and how it affected myself as a developer. So, quick introduction, I'm Suz. As Juan said, I work at Microsoft. I do a lot of dev relations there. I love JavaScript, accessibility, robots, which I'm sort of known for, and also recently I've been getting really into machine learning. So yeah. So first of all, who actually knows what live coding is, or who has actually watched some live coding before? Okay. That's good. So just for those who haven't seen it before, and for those who haven't seen my stream before, I wanted to give you a really quick intro. So live coding is essentially doing your normal development work on your machine, except you're capturing your entire desktop and you're streaming that to like an online service. So YouTube offers live streaming support, Twitch does, and Mixer is also another service. And essentially people can just watch whatever is on your desktop. And commonly, you also use a webcam so people can see your face. So if you hit a bug, you can be really angry and like, oh, I don't know what's causing this, and people can actually see your face react to that, which is pretty cool. And so what do I code on my live stream? This is sort of mostly what I code. So I code JavaScript and Node.js, which is a similar thing, just slightly different contexts. I do a lot of open source hardware maintenance on my stream, where I'm trying to improve the open source libraries that I've already made in JavaScript to make them better. And I also just sometimes code on silly personal projects, or I'm just trying out a new browser API or a new service that I've heard about. So rather than trying to describe exactly what it's like, I put together a quick video so that you can kind of get the idea if you've never watched my stream before. So I'm just trying to find my mouse. I don't know if I can play it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I need audio. Okay. Platform for it. So again, I'm going to go in multiples of like the layer height. It appears to be flashing. Upgrading the tiara, folks. I didn't jack it, like if I bite my fingers, I end up with like bleeding fingers. I don't remember if we like uninstalled it. I'm pretty sure we did. No, it's there. That's not good. Oh, you're right, the chip is missing. Livia, thank you. Did you see that? I pulled out the Arduino that I'd stolen a chip off. Oh my goodness. Did I screw that up? Yeah. Oh no, it did the thing again. Thank you for staying with me. I'm gonna go with the cat because that's more fun. I wanted to be cool like this person. Look how cool he is. He's like, I'm gonna put this on. It actually has like a really cool LED. You can see that? Let's put the cat back. Oh, hardware. I want to bump it up to 10 again. I'm gonna be greedy. I want it to be fast, so let's do that. Okay, that's way faster. Did you see that? That's so fast. Thank you, Storm Heroes. You are literally the hero of this bug storm. Thank you. You can do it, computer. Let's do it again for a bit longer. That's really awesome. So now we have like this remote beeping, which is obnoxious, but it's really fun. And then hopefully there'll be no mind control. Oh, like the look on my face is really intense. And like, I don't know if I would high five myself back. See, look, what is that on my face? Why do I look so angry? I guess like I'm just being a badass on my skateboard. I'm just gonna do that because it's fun. So that was a lot of fun, but like, why? Why am I trying to do this to myself? Why am I, why am I letting a whole bunch of strangers, view me and look at me in my study writing stuff all the time? Well, this is why I started. I had a friend called Nolan Lawson. He's quite a well-known open source developer. He did a live stream himself, and it was really eye-opening for me to see how another open source maintainer, who usually has way too much open source work to do, unlike myself, and how he dealt with that. And so I decided to kind of show that there are also people that maintain very small libraries and what their open source experience is like. I also wanted to show that developing for hardware is not actually scary, but most people do think that it's scary. But for me, it's just writing JavaScript, but you're just writing JavaScript for a smaller, dumber computer. And so I was trying to help people understand that. And also, it's motivation for me to get stuff done. If there are several hundred people like expecting me to be there on Sunday at 11 a.m., then that gets me out of bed and we get work done and we get it done together, which is really cool. I also wanted junior developers to realize that I don't write perfect code the first time. Like I would see this in all of my jobs where I would either point out a bug that they had, or they would pair program with me and they couldn't understand like that sometimes I just don't know what I'm doing, and that maybe I've actually looked up how to do something before I've actually pair programmed with them. So I think that I was doing a lot of the juniors that I mentored a disservice by always looking like I knew what I was doing. So this was supposed to be proof of that. And really, no one does write perfect code the first time. It's just not a thing. Even if you're the smartest developer in the room, you're still going to come across something or a bug, and you're never going to... Most of the time, if it compiles the first time, you know that that's suspicious and that maybe, maybe it's not quite right. And then you sort of think, do people even watch this? And it kind of blows me away that people do, because here is just a small sample of the chat where I realized that on Sunday at 11 a.m. every week, people don't just come to see me, they come for each other. So there's now a regular set of people that form a community around my stream, and even on the left, you can see I'm getting set up, I'm making coffee, my stream hasn't quite come online yet, but they're all talking to each other and asking each other how their day has been and what they're working on, and I think that that's just really much more valuable than what I'm actually doing on the screen. And so that's been really amazing to me to see the same people come back and how welcoming they are to new people coming to my stream. So I think of it also as we have a chat room there, right? And so it's massively online pair programming, because you get to basically take feedback from people, and then you get to explain to them also why their solution might not work. And so that to me has been enormously valuable for people wanting to learn, but also I can learn off other people at the same time. So I think that that's a really, really awesome way of scaling education as well. And an amazing, unexpected thing that came out of this was people watched me working on my open source libraries, and often I would log off and there would be a pull request from someone who was watching my stream, who saw something I didn't have the time to do, or maybe I didn't understand what they meant in chat when they were trying to tell me how to solve something, and they would just send me pull requests. And so all of these pull requests here have come from people who have discovered my work through my stream, which I think is amazing. This one's my favorite. I had like a space-themed website, and they added this Earth that would show the exact angle that the space station saw the Earth at any given time of the day, which was amazing. Someone else added a small web app for my light up tiara. And then, yeah, other people just kind of like fix my regex, because I'm really bad at writing regex, which is awesome. So yeah, just this has been probably one of the most humbling parts of my stream, is just all of these pull requests, and this is just a small sample of them. And so what I really want to talk about is how this experience improved me, like as a developer, and then how you can kind of think about this even if you're not live streaming. So the first thing that helped me improve was communication skills. I'm now much better at code explanations, so explaining what I'm doing while I'm coding is probably one of the hardest things to do, because if you're talking aloud while coding, like, it's very, very hard to maintain those two tracks in your brain. And so I'm actually a lot better at being able to explain things succinctly so that I don't have to be like giving this really long explanation while I'm coding. I'm definitely more open to feedback. I'm far less defensive because so many strangers come in and give me advice that you get used to that after a while and you realize that they're genuinely trying to help you. And so I'm very much less defensive about my code, and I take my code less personally because I realize that we're all working together to do this, and that it's not me coding, it's everybody doing it together. And I'm also getting better at giving good feedback. So when people are watching me write comments on pull requests and give feedback, I'm on the spot, and so I want to make sure that I'm setting a good example for everyone watching on how to give constructive feedback that isn't rude and has the right tone, but also people really delight in watching me do that on my stream too, so it's something that I've gotten a lot better at. So something like this, putting like a little cartoon version of myself is really, really fun, and people actually help me pick out that, you know, the specific cartoon that I should use and things like that. And so that's just an example of how I've tried to make those responses more personal, because a lot of the time, for example, right here, I'm reviewing one of my stream viewers' pull requests. So they're actually watching me review that live in front of hundreds of people. And so that is a warning to you. If you pull request me, several hundred people may see me reviewing it. And so you have to be kind when they're actually watching you, right? You don't want to shame them in front of everybody. So it's definitely made me think a lot more deeply about giving good feedback. A surprising one is typing. I'm not talking about typing in programming, I'm talking about physical typing. So I'm actually faster and more accurate now, and I'm less self-conscious about the way I type. So I can't actually touch type. Who can touch type here in the room? I'm interested. There's a few. So this is the way that I type. I sort of just do this all the time, and I'm crossing over, and I'm like sort of hunting and pecking, and I was always really self-conscious about it. I hated working in offices because people could see how I typed. And as soon as anyone came to talk to me, I'd be like typing up a storm, and then all of a sudden I would just forget how to type. And I was super self-conscious about it. And when you're on the stream and people are watching you type, I made mistakes over and over again. I just made the same typos all the time. But now, after having like gotten over that self-consciousness just through doing it again and again and again, I actually type better, which doesn't necessarily make you a better programmer, but it can help you be slightly more productive. And again, like, it can help you focus on the actual task rather than your typing. And so, you know, this is the keyboard that I use, and it doesn't have any letters on it. So like, if I can't touch type, why do I not have letters on there? And I kind of did it as a challenge to, you know, help myself get better and faster. And my stream really like my keyboard. They delight in sort of seeing the latest colors that I've put on there as well. And so I have this friend that I also watch on Twitch, and he actually went one step further, and if you can see in the right corner, he has like an action cam of him typing. And he has a really interesting typing technique. Like, one hand is kind of curled around, and the other is always on the F function key row. And I've never understood how he types. Like, I will look at the code and him typing, and I can't understand how letters are coming up. But he's celebrated that, and he makes fun of himself. And I think that that's a really cool thing that came out of his community as well. He also has his dog sleeping on the cam as well. Another thing it really helped me with, which I mentioned before, was focus. So time boxing is this concept where you say, okay, I'm going to give myself a limited set of time to complete a task. And so if you've used the Pomodoro technique, for example, you'll know what I'm talking about. This really helped me because I just stream from 11 a.m. till about 1 p.m. every Sunday, and I have to really scope something down to get something done so that people get the satisfaction of watching me complete something. So I'm much better at understanding what I can get done in that time, and like, I'm better at estimation, which makes you a much more liked person by your product managers and your project managers as well. I also have less distractions. Like, I can't just go and on Facebook in the middle of people watching me code, and I can't just like take a quick break or something. Like, it actually makes me just sit down and complete the thing, and that just saves me so much time. And motivation as well. Like, there are times when I'll be excited on Saturday night about coding something, and then I'll wake up on Sunday and I just don't want to do it. But this definitely helps me with being able to just get up and do it, and I'm always glad that I did it in the end. Confidence, this is a really big one for me. So I used to have a different handle online. It didn't always, it wasn't always Noobcat. And the truth about that name is I had a GitHub account, but I was too scared to push any substantial code to it and have like my identity tied to it. I was so scared that people would look at it and realize that I was a fraud, and that my code was bad, and that I would become unhireable and no one would want to work with me. And so I made this fake username that had like a cartoon picture of a cat on GitHub, and it didn't have any of my identifying information on it. And so then I started pushing code to that, thinking that maybe one day if someone finds it and they like the code, then that's great, but if they hate the code, like, that won't reflect on me. And so, that's like a huge confidence and self-esteem thing. I think that it's definitely puzzling, given that I'd already been programming for, I think, 7 or 8 years before I even made a GitHub account, but I still lacked that confidence because everyone around me just seemed so much better at programming than me. And so what's great is that, eventually I ended up just actually putting my name on it and putting my photo on it and just realizing that that wasn't productive. It meant that I was hiding. It meant that I was still going to be a defensive coder. And so, but I still didn't feel great. I still felt like I was hiding this secret that I was a terrible programmer and that every job I got was pure luck. But it turns out that if you put your code up and it works and people use your libraries, they're actually super appreciative of that. And it turns out that live streaming didn't actually destroy my career, even though I thought it was going to. I thought that people would realize that I was a fake. And I'm very emotional right now, I honestly thought that I would be trolled and doxxed and all sorts of awful things would happen. But I knew that I was stuck, like I was completely stuck, and I was in a place where I needed to push through that in order to become a better developer. And just going back to my point before, I wanted junior developers to realize that, none of us write perfect code the first time. That's something that I believed when I first got into JavaScript and was just looking at everyone else around me that just always seemed to know what they were doing. Imposter syndrome wraps very neatly as well into confidence, but again, as I said before, I thought that if people saw me live coding, that they would realize that I was a fraud. And if anything, people are a huge fan of the way that I write code, which I didn't expect at all. They really love seeing the process behind it. They love seeing the debugging techniques. And I never actually thought that anyone had anything to learn from me. And so it's sort of like helped my imposter syndrome, but it's also like made it worse in other ways, where I'm like, you couldn't possibly still think that I'm any good once you've seen how badly I type and things like that. So that's definitely still something I'm working on. But I think that it's definitely helped me with that as well. So you're probably thinking that the point of this talk is for everybody to start live coding. And I know that for accessibility reasons and for a number of other reasons, as well as just the different ways in which people are treated in this industry too, that's not actually possible. And it won't necessarily be helpful for everybody to do that. So this talk was actually really about trying to find the things that are holding you back and thinking of ways to actually get around those things. So no, I'm not recommending that everyone starts live coding in order to improve their development skills. What I'm really saying is that growth comes from leaving your comfort zone. It comes from doing something scary. It comes from doing something you've been putting off for a really long time. And so some alternatives that I can recommend is to pluck up the courage to ask somebody to be your mentor. If there's someone you've admired for a really long time and you know that they're not like super busy, even if it's just a colleague at work, reach out to them and ask them to be your mentor, because they're going to show you a whole different perspective on development that you've probably never seen before, and you do have something to teach them as well, I promise you. On the other side of things, if you're a little more experienced, or even if you've just learned something new recently, even if you're more of a junior developer, try mentoring someone else. You know, even a junior-senior mentorship relationship can go both ways, and I've seen that happen, and it's really, really positive. So if you've learned something recently that you're really excited about, have a go at trying to explain it back to somebody, because you really know you understand something when you're able to explain it in words, and somebody else can get that and start programming in that realm that you're describing to them. Take on a long-term side project. Long-term side projects take a lot of dedication, but also they don't have, they're made up of lots of wins rather than just one win and then you're done. Long-term side projects teach you a lot about being able to ramp up in challenge, about solving lots of different challenges, but also just keeping that motivation up and that passion up to be a developer. And I think that if you have the time in your spare time to do that, I would highly recommend that, because I think not just live coding, but having long-term side projects such as maintaining open source has really bolstered my skills in development. And also, if you've been seeing something at work that you think could be better, but no one else is saying something, maybe you're the only one that has the skills to be able to suggest that architectural change. You know, maybe there's just no one else in the room that has spotted something that could be improved, and that could be really scary for you, but it could also enact a lot of change at your work, and it could mean that you get to take on that next big challenge in your career in order to implement that architectural change. So, you know, these things I actually see as personally very scary as well, and so, you know, live coding is terrifying, but these can also be really big things that can really help you get over that hump if you're feeling stuck where you currently are. So my partner, Elijah, he's actually in the audience right now. He has been saying this to me for about 4.5 years now, since we've known each other, which is that he always tells me that I need to get out of my own way and I need to stop, you know, self-sabotaging. And I think that that's probably the best advice that I've been able to work on for the last 4 years. And I'm definitely not there yet, but it's something that I'm trying to do. If you want to do something, you are absolutely capable of doing it. Again, growth comes from leaving your comfort zone. So when you're watching all the talks today, if there are talks that you don't understand from a technical sense, that's okay. Take notes, make notes for things to Google later, and then come back to it. And then, you know, in 2 months' time, come back to that talk and watch the video and see how far you've come. Like, just because you don't get something the first time doesn't mean that you're not going to understand it. You are absolutely capable of understanding anything in the tech scene. It's just a matter of time, and it's a matter of interest to do that. So my advice really is not to live code, it's to do something scary, because in most cases it will work out, and if it doesn't, you probably learned a heck of a lot about yourself along the way too. I didn't expect to still be live streaming almost 1.5 years later, but I am, and it's something I'm going to continue with. And it's definitely given me the courage to take on scarier things even just in my day job. So I'm so thankful for my online streaming community for helping me with a lot of my personal challenges. So if you would like to watch me, I'm not going to be on this Sunday, but I will be the Sunday afterwards. I stream at 11 a.m. Eastern American time. So I don't know what time that is here. I think that's like 10 a.m. So I know it's early on a Sunday, but if you feel like dropping in, you can always drop in later in the stream, and I would love to see you there and ask whatever questions you want about what I'm working on. I'm very, very happy to have more people in my community. And thank you.
Woo!